What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? This is I, James, RedemptionAgency.com, 21 years selling on eBay. And dun-dun-dun-dun. All right, we're going to get into what's going on with eBay first. And the topic of subject today shall be, I didn't have anything. So I saw a question on YouTube and figured I might as well I had the headspace. I wanted to start from the beginning anyway. So we're going to talk media, CDs, cassettes, vinyl, DVDs, Blu-ray, video games. We're going to talk media across the board. So, like I said, I don't make notes in these videos, so I go by the whim of the knowledge in my head. So I will forget things. I'm going to try not to. But let's get into eBay first. Yesterday, huge problem day again for me. Server errors, server failures. It's back to telling me that now. So before the end of the night was over, I actually posted one of the server failures up on Facebook and tagged eBay for Business in it. Usually they respond pretty quick. They haven't responded that I saw as of yet. But yeah, it's a mess again. Overnight, I'm guessing they must have shut down. 9 hours, 2 items sold. So if you've seen how good sales have been when things are flowing, I get no server errors compared to the days I get server errors. You see the contrast, huge contrast. And that's why in my past videos, I would get so upset because like I said yesterday in yesterday's video, I take this personal. I love what I do. I love selling on eBay. So I take it personal when I feel like eBay is hurting my growth. And not just my growth, but your guys' growth too, who's having the same issues. And I'm not happy with that. So, as I vowed to do, is to take another look at things from a different direction and say, well, what can we do about it? That's a good question. So I think what I'll do today, while I was pulling, I did have 3 sales. So maybe it's some days we saw it in the past when I would have those shut down at 8, 9 hours overnight. The day would come bouncing back. So we'll see if that happens today. If I get to 2 o'clock, my midday point, and it's still not looking pretty, what I will do is shut off all my promotions and rebuild them. And see if that does anything. Other than that, ending and selling similar. I'll be doing that today also, just to try to get a spark. I've been doing it a little bit every day the past few days, and it really hasn't done anything compared to when I was having good days on eBay, when everything was flowing, I had no server errors. In relist I would get a couple of items selling right away. That's been in my store for months and months, if not years, selling on the end and sell similar. But when it's down, that's why I believe your items just are not seen across the board, whether that's only, regional or what have you. I don't know. But there's definitely a huge contrast when it's working and when it's not. Server errors, server failures, when I'm getting none of that. So huge contrast. I was hoping I was more on the up and up in the clear, but apparently we're back. We've been back down now for several days. I think we're going on day 5 of me actually having errors, literally eBay telling me server failure, server error. This can't be done at this time. Try again later. So we are at $841, but since I've had 3 sales while I was pulling, I'm up to $91. I like to be at $150 to $250 by 10. We're at $840 at 91. So there's a chance I could hit the low end. So that's the only positive I can take from that. Yesterday was bad. Only sold 51 items. And 13 organic, 38 promoted. So low organic again. And I'm starting to kind of wonder, on those days I have low organics, I wonder if what happens is you're being cycled, right? Promoted, I don't know if you get more of a chance of selling items, but you're organic, if you're cycled and you're mainly on the first page and then they start pushing you back so other people can get first page, then maybe those are my low days, I was thinking. So then I started thinking, well, what can I do? What's something I can do when I'm only showing or headed toward 9 organic sales, 48,000 items in my store? And if I can only get 9 organic on those whacked up days, how can I change that number somehow? I have not found an answer to that yet. So yeah, still working on that one. But so as of this morning now, we've got 3 organic and 3 promoted sold. So not good at all. My day starts at 2 a.m. So we're 6.5 hours with 6 items. So that's an hour, an item an hour, which is wouldn't have been that if I didn't sell those 3 in the last like 15 minutes. So 2 of them may have been an offer I took. I only got 5 offers overnight. So, but at least some offers came in. So that's good. But yeah, if I can figure out that organic thing, of course I will let you guys know. So we only got a handful of items here today, but we'll get into the topic of conversation for this video, and that is media. So for me, media started when I found music, obviously. I grew up in the cassette age, basically. My first cassette was Footloose soundtrack because I wanted the Quiet Riot song, yet it wasn't on the soundtrack by the time I got home. And that was when I was just kind of discovering music. That was, 84? So I was 13. So 12 and 13 is when I really started getting into my own music. Prior to that, I was not listening to, but I was surrounded by my parents' music. My dad was country, the old country, like Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and stuff like that. My mom listened to it, and it was always on because my dad controlled the radio in the car because he drove. But my mom was more like the Little Richard Elvis Presley. So she would play records in the house of Little Richard and Elvis and Chubby Checker, things like that. So about when I first got my first records, they were like, somebody gave them to me. And like Big Bad John was like I love the storytelling of music. And then I ended up getting handed to me somehow, I don't remember how, Kiss album Rock and Roll Over. That's when I started getting into like, oh, I like this stuff, right? And I remember at 13 seeing Footloose and wanted that Quiet Riot song. I'm like, oh, this is a good song. I like that song. I want to hear that song more. And I went and got that cassette, and it wasn't on there. Very disappointed. I remember not too long after that going to yard sales with my mom and buying 3 AC/DC cassettes. I'm like, ooh, who's this? I don't know, but it looks cool. I got 3 AC/DC cassettes, High Voltage, Power Age, and I don't remember the other one, for like 50 cents a piece. Or it might have been a quarter a piece. Maybe they were 50 cents, and my mom offered them a quarter a piece. But anyway, I ended up getting those 3 cassettes. So then I started rolling into media and music and really getting into my own. And about that time, me and a friend, we started saving some money. I would like take out neighbors' trash, mow the lawns around the neighborhood and stuff like that. And he would just get birthday money and stuff. They were a lot better off than we were. And so we were saving money so we could make a trip to a music store. So I had my money and my list of what I wanted, and he wasn't able to go. So he gave me his money and a list of what he wanted in the order, get what I can. So I remember getting to the music store. This was Sound Warehouse. I don't think it was Peaches at the time. I think it was Sound Warehouse on Hampton. If you know Hampton and Chippewa, it's tore down now, and it's going to come into play later in this story, big time. But so I went in there. I remember going in, and all the cassettes were like behind like glass or plastic, so you had to ask for people. Like you could put your hand in the holes and move things and look at them while they're in the plastic case. But if you want them out, you had to get somebody to open the case for you to get the cassettes. I remember buying Rush cassettes for him. I remember 2112. That's the only one I remember on his list. The only one I remember on my list was Motley Crue's Too Fast for Love. But we probably got 4 or 5 cassettes that day apiece. Too Fast for Love was mine. Rush was his. And Rush was more of his band. Motley was more of my band. And that's funny how it turned out that way. But those were the first cassettes that we actually bought with our own money. At least I did. I'm not sure. I don't remember if that was his or not. But at that point, seeing that music store, my goal from that point on was, I want to work in a music store. And I was, again, 13 or 14 at this time. And like, I wanted to do nothing else, but when I do have to start working, I want to work in a music store. That was what I wanted to do. So, over the years, my music collection grew. And I remember having like the 100 cassette Napa Valley wooden case filled with all my cassettes, all like 80s glam, hard rock, metal stuff. And me and my friends, we all had tons of cassettes of 80s metal. And one thing about my upbringing is I was pretty much a sheltered child up until I was 15 years old. My mom was very protective, aka lazy, and didn't want to watch us outside. I was always getting excuses like, oh, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too rainy, it's too wet. Reasons why I couldn't go outside. So I spent as a kid a lot of time at the screen door watching my friends play. Nancy Sinatra 8-track sold for $10, headed to Jackson, Mississippi. So when I turned 15, everything changed. It was total opposite. It was from being not let outside to, here's a key to the house, do whatever you want. When you hand somebody that kind of power, good things are not going to happen necessarily. Thankfully, I didn't get into the drinking and drugs and all that stuff. But, so I would be hanging out with friends, staying out all night, of course, just goofing off and riding bikes all night and riding bikes all day and just hanging out wherever we were. So I didn't even think about getting a job at that time. I was making money however I could, little odds and end things here and there, but I wasn't worried about a job. I went from being a prisoner to freedom. So I was enjoying the hell out of the freedom, right? So at like age 20, I'm a late bloomer in everything in life. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that I was isolated so much as a youngin'. So I'm a very late bloomer. So go to high school, have relationships, whatever. But then when I was 20, I met this girl who pushed me. She's like, come on, you got to do something. Get a job. What do you want to do? And stuff like that. At the time, I took it the wrong way. Instead of taking it as somebody trying to push me to be better, I took it as I wasn't good enough because I'm a poor city boy and she's like a county girl didn't have no money issues, right? So at the time, I took it as, well, I guess I'm not good enough for her type of thing. Dumb, immature way of looking at it, I know. Next up, we got some Bostonian shoes Jan just picked up. I took an offer for $10 because I needed the sales. Headed to Marshfield, Massachusetts. So I went in, put in applications, a bunch of different places. One, that music store, Sound Warehouse on Hampton and Chippewa. Put in applications there, put in applications everywhere else. I did work at, that's right, I worked at Kmart during high school for about a year because I got credit in school for working there. It was a job program. So that's where I had some money. I forgot about that. So the first place that called me back was a place called, I think it was Kids Mart. It was a kids clothing store in the mall. I'm like, all right, not really my thing. I look like an oddball out because I had the longer hair and I'm dressed in khaki shorts with a red polo shirt, long hair, selling children's clothes. The one thing I excelled at that job was because you would get like points for every customer that you sold stuff to, you rang out and stuff like that. I was never very good at that part of it. Or I didn't try, probably. Wasn't really my thing. But making displays in the windows, color coordinating the clothes, and making a whole display, that was my thing. So I excelled at that. But so after being there about 6 months, I got a job or a call from the music store. I'm like, what? Went in for an interview, hoping to get that job. And I got the job. So for several months, I'm working Kids Mart and I'm working at the music store. And I guess about, 4 months in or so, maybe, I was offered an assistant manager position at the music store. So, bye-bye kids clothing store, hello assistant manager at the music store. So here I am back at this music store that made me want to work in a music store. And now I'm an assistant manager running the place. How cool was that, right? I'm at my dream job. So I ended up staying with that company through all the acquisitions for 9 years. Sound Warehouse was owned by Disney at the time. Then they were bought out by Blockbuster Video, which then they had the Blockbuster music stores. And when Blockbuster started going down, Warehouse Music ended up buying out the Blockbuster Musics. So, next up, Sesame Street Alphabet album on cassette, sold for $7, headed to Round Rock, Texas. So, also during that time, that same girl, I dated her for 2 years. So all this happened within 2 years. So probably about a year being there, I was offered my own store to be a store manager. But during that year, I saw the turnover rate of managers at stores. And it wasn't good. I seen so many managers flipped, be promoted, and next thing you know, they're out on their ass not having a job. I saw this more than once. So it made me weary. I don't know if I want a store because I could be out of a job in 6 months. And I love this job. I don't want to leave this job. What did them people do to lose their job so quickly, right? Was it because they couldn't turn the store around or something? I don't want to be that person. I love what I do. I love the people, the music, talking about music all day, discovering new music. I loved all that. So I declined throughout the whole 9 years. Every time I was offered a store, I declined it. And it happened many times. But in that 2-year relationship, when I was in that relationship with that girl, she, again, you should take it. You should take it. Again, I took it as, I'm not taking it because I see what happens. I love this job. And I took it as, I guess I'm not good enough for you. So that relationship only lasted 2 years because of my insecurities. that was the whole downfall of that relationship was my insecurities. I was a poor kid with nothing, dating someone who I felt was out of my caliber because of her upbringing and where she was in life. And I knew she was going to be something. She was going to college and all this and that. I knew that was, felt it was way above my head. She actually, I believe, is a lawyer for the city of St. Louis right now. So she went places. But so at the time, yeah, somebody who could be that, right? A lawyer for the city of St. Louis. And then you got me who came from bologna sandwiches in the street. Some of you might be able to relate with the insecurity of not feeling like you're good enough. But, of course, like I said, that was stupid adolescent stuff at the time. So I never took a managed position at the job, but I jumped around as assistant manager through a bunch of different stores and wound up opening the first Blockbuster, the brand new Blockbuster music stores. If you remember at the time, if you've ever been in one where they had the listening stations where we would open any CD you wanted to listen to, and that was a first before the internet. And that was a Batman hat sold for $9.50. Sorry, headed Joliet, Illinois. And the same manager who hired me, I ended up being with him most of the time, and we would jump around. He would take me with him to his new stores, so I would jump around with him. I was basically his right-hand guy. And on the side note there, about 7-8 months ago, I finally found him on Facebook. I had looked in the past and then kind of forgot. So about 7 months ago, I found him on Facebook, and I started seeing posts, and he had just passed away. And he was living in Hannibal, Missouri. I'm like, oh, man. I was like literally a month too late. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But, so I never took that job, but music was my thing. So, how I started getting into eBay, I know it was a long path to get there, I'm sorry. I have sex daily. I have dyslexia. Hat. Sold for $9.50, headed to Fort Myers, Florida. So, I'm assistant manager, and at this time it's warehouse music in Ladue. I liked working in Ladue because it's the rich area of St. Louis, one of. So you not only got a lot of regular people in there, but I'm not a star type of person, but I met and helped a lot of Blues players, Cardinals players, Mark McGuire. This was before Albert Pujols, but Mark McGuire. Then like the Blues, Chris Pronger, Ozzie Smith for the Cardinals. The list can go on and on of all the players that have been in there. Joe Torre from the Cardinals at the time. And then I would meet movie stars and comedy like Cheech Mariner. I don't even remember who else. I've met so many, or interacted with so many people, I should say. There was even somebody who was an old movie star who was like in one of those old movies way back when. I don't know what movie it was. I don't remember. Something like The Sound of Music, right? Some big classic music. He pulls up with a driver in literally like a 1920s car, right? Big, well, it's probably later than that, 40s maybe. But like one of those big boat limousine with the big fenders. And I don't know what car it was at the time, but so all kinds of people would come in there. And so I was working with this other manager, Craig, and his family was from the area, so they had money and stuff. So he had a computer and internet. This was before I even knew what that stuff was. So one day he came up to me when Laserdiscs were going out of fashion and said that he sold the Star Wars Laserdisc that we have on clearance on eBay and made some money. He goes, do you want to buy one? And I'll sell it for you. I'm like, hell yeah. So I ended up buying one of the Laserdiscs, handed it to him. A couple weeks later, he comes back and hands me more cash than my 2-week check. So that's when a light bulb goes off. I'm like, holy crap. I'm seeing this music store where I'm working at. I love my job, but we went from the richest store in St. Louis from $2 million a year in revenue down to like 900,000 in 1 year because of Napster and stuff like that. So I saw the writing on the wall, and I'm like, and then when he handed me that, I'm just like, computer, eBay, what's this? So I started going to the library and just searching eBay, and just would sit there for hours just scrolling eBay, seeing what people are selling, how they're selling it. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I have in my collections that I've found at thrift stores over the years. So I'm like putting two together, and I start saving up for a computer. So jump ahead in 2000, late 2000s, I guess. I ended up meeting Jan. Of course, she hears about what I'm trying to do, say the computer to sell on eBay. At this time, since I worked in the music store for 9 years, I literally had 10,000 CDs in my collection. A lot of rare hard rock stuff, rare metal, all kinds of stuff. And I also had a huge video game lot, because one thing I did throughout the years was always hit thrift stores, and I'd buy anything that I loved music related or video game, and anything video game related. So I literally had a whole room full of video game stuff. Almost every system made, etc. So this is a cool shirt. Minnesota Twins vintage sweatshirt. Sold for $41, headed to St. Paul, Minnesota. But and my goal was, okay, if I can get a computer, I can start the business by sacrificing my video games and sacrificing my music collection. Then I could start building me something, right? Something to make revenue on. Something that I knew I wasn't going to have working where I was working, even though I loved it, because so many stores were already closing. And I knew that being ours dropped so drastically, over $1 million in 1 year, that the end was near. So, at the time, we ended up getting more serious within the time. Ended up getting married in Destin, Florida. And then she throws out the option. She's spending more at daycare than I'm making, right? She's like, do you want to quit, start the eBay up, and raise the kids? Watch the kids. Be a stay-at-home dad, if you will. Stepdad. Computer, eBay, let's go. Adrian was 3 at the time. Alex was 10. Refresh that. So that's how it all started. And so I started sacrificing my music collection first. Started selling my CDs. That's how I learned. I actually had some overstocked video games. The first item I ever sold on eBay was a Sega Master System game, sealed. I wish I had that today. It'd be a hell of a lot, worth a lot more money. That I found at a thrift store not too far from here. Ended up being a non-paying bidder, first item I put up. But that was the first thing I sold on eBay. So I started sacrificing and selling a lot of collectible CDs that I had in my collection over the years. And so I started with the music. About a year into that, they were getting ready to close down all the warehouse musics in St. Louis. So I'm sitting here selling media. I'm like, okay, and I love music. So I started going to the stores. I know everybody there. So I am hearing the times of when markdowns are happening and stuff like that. So I knew exactly when everything was going to get marked down to 10 cents a piece in the last couple of days. So Jan went to one store. I went to another. We cleared it out. She hit another store. I hit another store. We cleared it out. And we just loaded up carloads of CDs for 10 cents a piece. So that's how I started really getting into the media thing. Then not too long after that, she saw an ad in the newspaper. The newspaper is this paper thing that has writing on, but We got this little froggy head. I just put this up. Sold for $8, headed to Fort Peak, Montana. That a music store in Greenville, Illinois was closing. So that was the first music store we bought out. So we contacted them, ended up going over there, filling a U-Haul truck up I ended up paying $15,000, and I got all the contents, everything, computer system, everything from the store. All their music, obviously, all their fixtures. And we jumped in. So over the years, as the time went on, we ended up buying out more music stores because they were closing consistently. CD warehouses. We only still have one in this area. But, so if you're in the area, CD Warehouse in South County, Walter, he owns that. He used to own Metal's Edge too, which was a cool club back in the 90s that had a lot of 80s music artists there. Saw a lot of people there. A lot of bands there. Bands like Tough and Danger and Sweet FA and who knows, I don't even know, a lot of local stuff we'd see there too. So that started the trek. You know what? The one thing that kind of saddens me about eBay when it comes to media sales is I've been selling media on eBay since 2001. Yet their system has not gotten any better. With like when you scan a CD in eBay to list it, all the information comes up on some of the items. The artist has a stock picture. They have never grown that since 2000. Why didn't they, over the years, grow that with all the information that they had coming into their website? I never understood that. By now, this many years later, they should have like a stock of every album made. So many people sold stuff on there, but they never did. You would think it would be they could automate that, but they never did. So let's get into like the details of selling, since that's probably what you're waiting for anyway, before my long ass story bored you to sleep. Let's start the CDs. I like selling media because it's the quickest thing to list. Scan the barcode. Boom. Done. Most of the time. Not most of the time, maybe half of the time. Scan the barcode, it's done. The other half, you scan the barcode, nothing comes up. Then you have to type in the title, take the picture, then you're done. So no big deal. With the phone, I do everything on the desktop, take the picture with the phone, done in under 30 seconds, right? Listing a CD. That's why I love listing media. I can list one in under 30 seconds. Quick, easy, boom, bam, gone. Love it. I think today I'm going to start on media. I'm just going to list a lot of media today. Feeling inspired. One question I will get to on that thing was, do I list one by one or do I use variations? And if you don't know what the variations thing is, it's actually you're not supposed to do it. You can get the listing taken down and get a smack from eBay if you do it. Variations is kind of like a t-shirt. You put up one t-shirt, you've got this orange t-shirt, and you have various sizes in it, so you can put that all on one page. Extra large, blah, blah, blah. Well, people do that with media, and you're not supposed to, but a lot of people are still getting away with it. Where you put up CD, and you type in the various CDs you have, and it's all on one page. There's a drop-down box. You take, okay, I want this CD, add to cart. Want this CD, add to cart. This CD, add to cart. I would love to do that. if it was allowed, but it's not allowed, even though there's still a lot of people doing it. People are doing it with the DVDs also. So I stick by, until that changes, I do one by one. If variations are eventually allowed on media, what I like about that is you get better placement on eBay, because if you put 100 CDs on one page, every time one sells and keeps going, that's going to keep you at the top of the search results. That's the plus of that. So if that was available, I would be doing it that way, especially on my low dollar stuff. My higher dollar stuff, I'd still do individually, because you can get more details with the pictures and stuff. The variations, you don't really have individual pictures. I don't think. I don't know. I've never done it, so. So that's the plus there, if it's allowed. Oh, we got this Latin cassette, Low Major Day. Sold for $12.50, headed to Woodland, California. With cassettes and vinyl, I don't scan the barcode. Mostly because most vinyl doesn't have barcodes, unless it's something newer. Cassettes, the system usually, you're only going to get about 20% of the cassettes you scan that's going to actually come up right on eBay if you scan it. The others are going to come up as CD or not come up at all. So I don't even waste my time trying to scan a cassette. The only time I do now is if it's new and sealed and it has the barcode. I'll scan it just because of the error thing on eBay where you have to put something in the UPC in order to switch it to new, or it won't list. So that's the only time I scan a cassette, if I can. If I cannot, what you type there is does not apply, and then it'll let you list the new items. But you have to put something in that UPC barcode to list it, at least at the time of this video. I wish they would fix it, but it's been going on since they changed the page. And with vinyl. And it's all quick and easy. Like I said, when I type the title, I don't type it into the listing page. I type it into my store, type it exactly how I want to put it on my listing page. But I only have to type it once. And I copy it, I hit enter, see if I have it in my store or not, so I don't double list anything. If I don't, I copy that and put it on the title and just list real quick, take 2 pictures and be done. Super quick. That's why I love the media. So even putting up my cheap stuff and doing my sales, buy 2, get 1 free, etc., etc. When eBay's working, you saw how good my stuff was selling. So if you didn't see those, you can go back and watch my videos. And before you start asking a million questions, watch my videos. I'm sure I've answered them someplace, somewhere, sometime. But the one thing that I was weak in when I started selling media was, oh, so you're not going to work. There you go. Was grading vinyl. I learned working in a music store for so long. A lot of the people who collect vinyl are very, not only picky, but they vary. You ask one person what a very good graded vinyl means, another person will tell you something different, a third person will tell you something different, a fourth person will tell you something different. So I learned very quick, you can't please anybody by grading vinyl. You can't please 50% of the people by grading vinyl. Next up, we got this Dickies women's cap. Headed to Linwood, California, sold for $9.50. So what I do on my vinyls is just I got set in my template description that I just said, hey, I'm not very good at grading vinyl. It'll at least be a good plus. You know, so it's not gonna be total trash. So expect a good vinyl, and you may get an excellent vinyl. So I here I go, not thinking words again. I undersell and over please on most of the cases. I can't find the right words to make that phrase fit, but I know it's out there. So that's what I do on the vinyl. Because, like I said, you can't make a lot of people, you can't make most of them happy. Even doing it that way, I only remember one negative in the last year I got on the vinyl. And of course, I was able to get it taken off when they returned it. So, it's not like hindered. It may have hindered some sales. I don't know about that. But it hasn't hindered the results. So, DVDs are the same way. Blu-ray, scan and go. There are a lot more DVDs in the system, eBay system, than there are CDs. Probably because of the age of DVDs is newer. More information's out there. But one thing I did learn over the years when it comes to, like, if you scan a disc, a CD or a DVD in your store, it'll still come up. So where you type the title, you can scan the disc there, and it will bring it up if it's in your store. Unless, let me see if I can find an example. On DVDs, some of them have this weird barcode that if you scan it, it will not come up in your store, even if you have it in your store. I have accidentally listed double DVDs in the past because of this issue. Where did it come from? So, let me show you a regular barcode. I'm not sure if I'm going to find one here. All right, a regular barcode looks like that on a DVD. I can't think of a title offhand. Those are MDs. I'm probably not going to be able to find it. But anyway, yeah, here's one. So your normal barcodes look like that. If you scan that barcode, you see it has this little extra thing on the end. If you have this DVD in your store and you scan that barcode, it will not come up and show you have that DVD in your store. So that is one thing to watch out for. So when I see that, I automatically type in the title in my store to make sure I don't have that DVD in my store. So there's a little tidbit for you that most people probably don't know about. Next up, we've got this Burlebo shirt. Sold for $9.50, headed to Elbridge, New York. I hope I showed that on there. When it comes to organizing the DVDs, cassettes, vinyl, or DVDs, when I used to sell on Amazon and I had employees, I used to alphabetize on my shelves. I'd have the A section, B section, etc., etc. The problem with that is not everybody, when you have other people doing it, not everybody understands last name first. Then when you get into like the classical music, it can be very confusing, and they would always get, trying to see if there's anything right in front of me, they would always get misfiled. So not finding it happened a lot more back in the Amazon days when I would do that. So I just end up now just put them all on a shelf, and that shelf is numbered, or I put them in my drawers you've seen me pull from, and it's a lot easier. a lot better organized than doing it alphabetically. Plus, alphabetically takes time. You've got to make sure you put it in the right spot. It's a pain. So I don't encourage that if you want to do volume. Outlaw Star VHS tape sold for $9. Headed to Alexandria, Kentucky. So what I do too is, since I've got so many CDs and media in storage, while I'm listing, if the CD's like too scratched to resurface, I'll take the disc out and I'll put it in a box, and I'll sell that box of scratch CDs as an art project on eBay. But I will keep the cases. I will keep parts of the cases so that I've got extra. So if I sell something with a cracked case, I can change it. As far as resurfacing, I use Azure Dual Disc 2 machine. I've got 2 of them. These are professional grade. These aren't those cheap things you used to be able to buy at the store that rarely worked, or they'd leave swirls on the discs and not really do a job. These machines, I think now they're under $2,500 a piece. When I bought them, they were $2,500 a piece. You can do 2 discs at one time in 30 seconds. Makes it look new again. Obviously, if they're really scratched, you got to do it longer. It's got a time thing on it. A good way to know if the CD is too gone, I'd say something like that. If you hold it up to the light and you see like pinholes coming, and you see little pinhole light coming through it, those CDs will not play. They are trashed. They are done. Even if they're not even scratched, if you see little pinholes because time wore it away, those CDs will not play. Sons of Anarchy hat. Head to Wellington, Kansas, sold for $6. But I rarely use the machine now because most of my scratch CDs are lower dollar value. So if I have to resurface a lower dollar value, I don't even mess with it. It goes into a lot. And I'll sell it as these CDs might need resurfaced. So I use it on like $8 and up CDs that need to be cleaned up. So using that, I mean, I can go a whole week and not even do that. Actually, I've got 4 right here I need to do. So I'll knock that out in a minute. But this machine, though, I've got to hold the lid down because the locking mechanism is messed up on it. And I haven't ordered a new one to replace it, so. And now I don't even, a lot of CDs, if it's got light scratches on it, CDs are durable, they'll play. So I don't bother or mess with them too much. Try to see if there's a way I can let you guys see what I do with the resurfacing here. Let me get this one. I've got a True Gather to get out also here. We're reviewing your buyer's return. Yeah. The person returned a brand new Laserdisc player as doesn't fit description. And now they're going to get their shipping back. You better not be taking it back from me. Decided in the buyer's favor to refund the $4.99 without any impact to you. It was a brand new Laserdisc player. Or Laserdisc. Butthole. But anyway. So we got Dueling Banjos from Deliverance on 45. Alrighty. Let's see here. Sold for $3. Headed to Plymouth, Minnesota. So I don't even go for pure perfection on my CDs anymore. I just do, or DVDs. I just do them for 30 seconds because I know they'll play, even if they still have some light scratches on it. But some of them you'll need to do for a minute instead of 30 seconds. But I don't even worry about that anymore because it'll still play. So used to, when I first started, when I was doing Amazon and everything, and I was doing 95% CDs, I had a person who did nothing but resurface for me. I've had several people over the years who would just spend, 6 hours a day resurfacing CDs for me that sold. That's how many items I would sell per day back in the Amazon days when I was selling CDs. I had my own CD resurfacer. Kind of gives you an indication of the volume I used to do. I wouldn't resurface a CD until it's sold, because you're wasting a lot of money on something that might sit for a while. So you got to kind of know, in order to do that, you got to kind of know CDs and what will play, what will skip, and what have you. So, whoops, let me just scan this stuff in. I might be able to move the camera right here and show you guys some resurfacing. Let me do my printouts. Let me get everything done, so that's the last thing I have to do. So let me get my printouts created. Red flag, no international. Let's see if I sold any yesterday. So I can do a printout. 1. So I sold 1 international since yesterday's video. Huge red flag. As an example, between Saturday and Sunday, 14 international. Friday, 11 international. I don't think let's see if we sold anything since I started this video. We were at, what was it, 91, I think, or something? 114, so not going anywhere quick today. Let me see if we can move this here without turning it off. There we go. So like I said, my lock's broken, so you'll see me holding it down because that lock's broke. So I'll show you before this one. I wouldn't have to normally resurface this, but I needed a 4th. Let's see. So there's got some on it. Right there might be your best. So this one will clean up just about perfect. So that's number 1. Number 2. Let's see the best way to show you this. But you see a lot of the scuffing and stuff on there. I'll just stand here for 30 seconds. I got a couple pieces I need to repair on this machine, but it just, since I don't use it that much, I just haven't ordered them. All right. So, like I said, I don't go for perfection. I just go for it will play. So that's the one that was really had all the scuffs on it. So it has a couple of light ones still on it, but it'll play perfectly. So no big deal. Because on my description I put may have light surface scratches, but will not affect the play of the disc. So. And this was the number one. It only had the light one on it, so it's basically perfect there. So. Now we got, okay, Henry Rollins. So these have, and you'd have to know from over the years of doing it, this one has some little deeper ones in it. So this is not going to clean up perfect on 30 seconds. But I'll run it on 30 seconds because I know it'll still play. So, not going for perfection since it's not needed. If it was a high dollar CD, then I would do it longer to make sure it's perfect. And then we got a PS2 game here. This too has some deeper ones. But video games are even more durable than CDs when it comes to playability. So, 30 seconds on this, it'll still play. Button sometimes gets a little stuck and you don't want to just pull it off and crack the disc. All right, so this is the PS2 game. Man, my sinuses were killing me from bike riding yesterday. Like I said, it had some deeper ones in it, but it pretty much got those out also. But you'll see lightness on there, but that'll play just fine, so no big deal. Looks almost perfect. We got Henry Rollins. Like I said, too, this one had some deeper ones on there. So this one, if it was an expensive CD, I would run it for 60 to 90 seconds instead of just the 30. But that's what the 30 does, and it'll play, so you can probably see a couple of little ones there, but that's it, so not bad at all. So that's it. Pretty simple. I don't think there's... I'm sure I missed some stuff, but with VHS tapes, even though when you scan them, it'll have a stock pictures, unless it's an extremely low dollar VHS tape, I will take pictures of those just so people can see the quality of the box. But yeah, just a very quick media is very quick to list, and my original love and what got me started selling on eBay. So I will always sell media at some level. So and I got tons of it in storage from all those stores I bought out over the years. I probably got boxes in there that I've never even touched since 2003. So probably boxes in there 20 years I haven't even touched. And then also, like I've said before, the biggest used record store here in St. Louis, Record Exchange, the owner, Gene, I used to buy out his back room. And the first time, and I believe it was the first time he ever let anybody do it, was me. And because when I first went in, he started saying, I'll bring boxes out for you. You can go through them, pick what you want, $1 a piece, right? So the first probably 2 times I went up there, I was just going through boxes, picking out whatever for $1 a piece. And then so I ended up saying, what do you just want for the whole room? Or maybe he even mentioned it first. I'm not even sure. And so we made a deal. I think it was like $3,000 to just take out his whole entire back room. And I think it averaged to around 10 to 12 cents a disc. And I could tell I was the first person there because I found about 8 or 10 collectible CDs of an indie metal band from the early 90s called Fox. And the CD is called Gangster of Love. And I think it's been reissued now, so I don't know what the original goes for. But at the time, I had found 8 to 10 sealed Fox Gangster of Love CDs in that thing, and was getting, at the time, I think I was getting $400 or $500 a piece for them. So those paid for the entire room that I bought, and then some. And what's funny is a guy who used to own a local music store, Missing Links, I think it was, he ended up started selling from home, closed down his storefront, started selling from home. So at this time, he somehow got wind that I found all these CDs still laying around St. Louis. And somebody told me that, because at the time I was frequently going to music stores, buying inventory and stuff. And I told people I found them. So the word got back to him. So I would go back to these stores and be like, what? I forget his name, from Missing Links. He's calling around looking for these Fox Gangster Love CDs. So he started calling like every music store looking for what I found. And not knowing that I found them in the back room at Record Exchange. So, and I bought out like his overstock like that probably 4 or 5 times. So got a lot of media in storage. And at this time, if there's stuff that I haven't looked at in 20 years, there still could be something worth $500 sitting in one of those boxes, and I don't even know it. So gotta love it. Gotta love it. That's the business I built. Throwback to yesterday's video. All right, I think that's it for this video. Thanks to everybody for watching. Get to the post office. I heard Vern flopping around upstairs, so he might need to go to the bathroom. And I will see you all in the next video. Later.